Trust him. He's a pre-med.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Wednesday. I was telling the guys before we started that this week is going so slow that I'm pretty sure it's Friday next week, and I don't know what's happening here.
Stuck in some kind of time warp.
Right, some kind of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey loop, and I don't care for it.
I'm with Blue. This week has sucked so far.
Yeah, this week freaking sucks.
Yep.
All right, well, let's go ahead and let's get the show started. Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 154, and today is Wednesday, February 26th. 2025. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. My name is Blue Williams, and I'll be your host for this evening. But as you can see, I am not alone. I do have my two fine co hosts with me. My first co host always wants to be the top in the bunk beds at the sleepover. Just pray he didn't eat the deep fried deviled eggs beforehand. Please say hello to Ryan Payne, aka retrogamebrews.
You don't like an odoriferous experience in the bedroom? A little. I highly recommend eating deep fried deviled eggs if you plan to be by yourself for the next 3 years. Because, wow. That was an experience, though.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know deep fried deviled eggs were a thing.
I didn't either until I ordered them. Right?
And you saw that and you're like, oh, I'll have that.
Yes.
Surely there will be no consequences.
Exactly. So you get it.
Okay. No, I can see that. And no, PBR, because you want the best beer in America in the 1800s. And my second co host has just popped his Elden Ring cherry and beaten his first boss in Margit. So, just like all virgins, that means he is moving very, very quickly. Everyone, please say hello to the one and only Donnie G. No, I've done this before. Yeah. All right. Well, if you've been following the show for a little while, you will recall that Donnie and I had a Super Bowl bet, and you will also recall that he lost it. So now the long-awaited time has come. On Monday, March 3rd, Donnie will be fulfilling his end of the Super Bowl bet by wearing nipple tassels for our patron-only uncut stream. And if you want to participate, and honestly, who does not? It's not too late to join at patreon.com/gamersweek.
Just a reminder to current patrons that this is voluntary, so you do not have to show up. Therefore, do not cancel your patron subscription. If this
They say they
shocks
can't.
and disgusts you.
Yeah, I fixed my
They
microphone.
say they can't hear Donnie. Okay.
Yeah,
we're
I
good?
fixed my microphone, so it should be worked. It should be working now. So yeah, if you'd like a little preview, here are the the tassels or whatever the pasties that I will have to. I'm forced to wear on Monday.
Forced
And
to.
you know what? I'm glad that we're not doing this on the live episode. That we're doing it just for the patrons. And you know, if you have some sort of weird kink where you want to see a middle-aged man wearing pasties and a collar, then by all
They
means,
sparkle.
I don't. Yeah, they sparkle. They're very dazzly. We don't kink shame here. And if you want to become a patron to our podcast and our Discord in order to gain this perk, more power to you. I am not going to shame you at all for that.
Agent Neil says new kink unlocked.
This is the worst sales pitch I've ever heard in my life.
It is 2025, and we do not kink shame on anything. So there you go.
I think Donnie, I think you're gonna look fantastic. I picked those special just for you.
Well, and if I have to do any sort of adhesive, like I'm going to have to shave my nipple hair because there's no way in hell I can put these things on and then tear them off. There's going to be multitudes of hair.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be part of the stream too.
Right.
Now I think that probably will get us a strike if I were to show my nip.
Nip nip?
Your
No,
nip nip?
no man has ever nip-nipped on Twitch before.
I don't know. I think they might
Besides,
have.
it's the uncut stream, so it'll be private on YouTube, so it won't matter.
Yeah, it'll be YouTube. Okay. All right. You're right. You're right.
Nip nips, everyone. We're getting nip nips.
Grammy, can I get a nip nip?
Sounds like a character on Rick and Morty.
Ah, Mr. Meeseeks, a nip nip.
All right, let's move on to our reviews, reactions, and requests. Fluffy Nuts says, "Oh, for fuck's sake, a 39-year-old billionaire blaming wokeness for his company's failures. Accountability for failure starts at the top. Any leader / CEO who isn't dog shit at their job knows this." Fluffy Nuts not pulling any punches.
Right.
You're here.
Pigeonfish says, "Technically, Ryan Cohen became GameStop CEO after they hit rock bottom. I was a former minor stockholder that helped vote that tool in. He still hasn't done a great job reviving them, though. Sold my stocks years ago and haven't even shopped there since."
Ooh, Pigeonfish does not like the stock anymore.
And Son of Pootie Tang says, "Microsoft's Muse can AI D's nuts."
Got him.
Got him.
Nuts! And might I say, while that is a horrible movie, that is a hell of a name. Son of Pootie Tang. I love it.
Agreed.
All right, let's move on to our patron shoutouts.
All right, well, we couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thanks, Puzzle Better, Number One Blue Sick Voice Fan, John Barron, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Rai Secret Best Friend, Mega Retro Man, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael, put a sock in it, boy, or else you'll be out of here like shit through a goose. Like kites. Emo S, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes, Pickle Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, absolutely the best podcast, a work in progress. Excuse me. Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dugnut, Blues Little Sis, Loudmouth, Retro Blast Pat, B&T Zillaguy, The Mech, Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven San, Ramboski, Terry Kinnair, A-Guild 3030, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, and Games with Coffee. If you like what you hear today, we really hope you do. Please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits, which is the nipple tassel.
The nip
one.
nips.
The nip nips.
We should list that as one of the benefits.
And we got a new emote, I'm assuming, then. It just says the nip nips. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
The nip nips.
All right. Let's move on to our headlines.
Our headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob picks 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. This week, Rob is joined by a special guest, Retro Trich royalty Hungry Gorilla, for a long-ass interview about game collecting, Myst, and Super Mario Bros. 3. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes. Myst is one of those games that makes me feel incredibly stupid.
No comment.
Yeah. Fuck you. I love the game. I love those types of games because it does make you think. Puzzle games like that, but it's like I feel like I should know so much more to be able to play this game and I end up feeling lost.
The atmosphere in Myst makes it feel like it's supposed to be like a super scary game, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's one of the things I've always found disappointing about it. It's like this atmosphere, right? Like you're expecting something to be around the next corner. Nope.
It's just boredom.
Right? A lot of fog and puzzles. And of course, Super Mario Brothers 3, I think, Blue, you've ranked this as your number 1 game of all time. Is that right?
Not of all time, but my number 1 Mario game.
There we go.
Yeah. It's real close between Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World, but I'm going to go with 3 just because it was mind-blowing when it first came out.
And had the great commercials where it was the Mario,
Yeah.
Mario.
Right. And it was in the movie,
You could
Yes, the wizard.
fly.
The Wizard.
Like you got the frog suit, the Tanuki suit, the yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you could fly. All things that Mario had not done before. So it was like a new area of or era of Mario.
This is true.
All right, let's move on to the headlines. On Tuesday, Warner Brothers announced that it is shutting down 3 studios and that development of the Wonder Woman game will not move forward. We have had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises: Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones, the company said in a statement. After careful consideration, we are closing 3 of our development studios: Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. This is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them. Earlier this year, a Bloomberg report suggested Wonder Woman was in trouble after rebooting and switching directors in early 2024. This came amid larger struggles at the company's gaming division, including layoffs at Rocksteady, the lukewarm reception to Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and the shutdown of multiverses. Specifically, this move represents a blow to WB's DC Universe connected gaming efforts. Notably, on Monday, James Gunn and Peter Safran said in a presentation that it would be a couple of years before the first DCU video game.
Wow.
Why does it seem that DC has a problem with A, movies, and B, video games?
I've often wondered that where Marvel, for some reason, hits it out of the park. And maybe I think with Marvel, there seems to be a, I guess it would just be, there's a formula. Every Marvel movie has a similar feel to it, right? And it's just, it's that popcorn flick thing, right? Where like the action is just right, the drama's there, there's the funny, right?
Yeah.
And I think DC, from at least from my experience, has tried to take itself maybe a little too seriously at times. Um, they'll have one hit here or there, uh, and I think that all is indicative, of course, of what's happening too with their video games, right? They'll have one hit here and there, like an Arkham Knights kind of thing, uh, but they seem to A, probably take themselves too seriously, and B, are they aligning with the right people, the right studios in order to make these games? I mean, DC itself has this huge pedigree, right? But it also means that they've got a lot to live up to. So I don't know. It maybe it's luck too. It seems to be that you're right. There's this stream of Marvel, 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 DC, and man, if you were a Marvel fan and you hated DC growing up, this is like
Yeah.
vindication every day. You know.
There have only been a few DC movies that I have enjoyed.
Mhm.
The Superman movies, the first Wonder Woman was decent. That was good. The second one
Right.
was just a mishmash. It's like, what is this thing? And then the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Um, I guess I can even say that I enjoyed the DC or the Batman versus Superman movie, but
Mhm.
it didn't really have the same feel as the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight movies, because in that one, that was just like set in a real universe where there wasn't like any of these special superpowered villains. It was just real normal people.
Right.
Webhead says DC just tried to rush and catch up to Marvel, and their CEOs interfere too much.
Ah.
Could be.
I can
I mean,
see
I
that.
don't really like superheroes, so I really couldn't say why one is succeeding where the other has failed. I saw the Wonder Woman movie, the first one. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 of the Marvel uh expanded universe whatever movies, but they're not my thing. So my opinion doesn't really count. But I mean, I will say that I don't think that it's that they have the wrong studios when they're doing this. I mean, specifically, the one that everybody seems to really be mourning is Monolith Productions,
Right.
which made the Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War,
Ah,
and
okay.
their Nemesis system, which was pretty revolutionary
Mhm.
and was an amazing way to customize and personalize game experiences. But now it's just going to go away.
And that's definitely a pour one out moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the thing is too, saw that this doesn't reflect the skill of these folks. It's just a strategic change. It was like, oh, well, that and a cup of coffee, or that and $1 will get you a cup of coffee. Like, that's
Right.
right.
Tegan85 says, I love that DC is still trying to catch up 2 years after Marvel has proven to everyone that it's oversaturated and everyone's getting tired of this stuff.
Right.
So why don't
100%.
you take the people that were laid off from these closed studios and maybe put them in a different studio if you're willing to do that. If you have all of these other studios, these game studios that you still have open, it's like, hey, this is not a reflection of your work or your effort or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and just move you over to this game studio. Why don't you do that?
They don't want to make games anymore.
Oh,
I mean, it's like we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
They're sitting on a $200 or so billion loss, or $200 million loss, something like that, between Suicide Squad and Multiversus. And they're just saying, I mean, eventually pulling the plug on the Wonder Woman game and closing these studios. They're just saying video games are too damn expensive without a guarantee of success on the other side. We're going to stick to movies.
And honestly, for them too, movies are. I mean, even if they lose, they'll still regain a large chunk of the investment that they put in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where video games, there is absolutely zero guarantee that anybody will buy this. Uh, especially when it comes to like streaming stuff too. With movies, like you get residual revenue from that. You sell merch, you do whatever, right? But the risk is I guess what I'm trying to say is the risk is just so much higher with this.
which
So I get it, but yeah.
it doesn't make any sense when you have focus groups and everything like that, where
Mhm.
you have part of this game that you've developed, and let's just take it from like like multiverses, okay? You're developing this game, you have focus groups and test groups, and they come in and play it, and they're like, why is this like Super Smash Brothers? Like, well, we feel like people like the Super Smash Brothers, and like there's really no other game out there that's kind of like equals that. So we just decided to slap our IP on there, and all these different characters that you love from the Warner Brothers universe, you can play in a fighting game, right? Like, I mean, it's okay. And I get, I'm willing to bet that if you have a decent amount of people that come in to do this focus group, a majority of them would have said exactly this. Like, yeah, I'm not feeling your, like, it's okay. Like, yeah, fun to play once or twice of Beetlejuice fighting an Animaniac or something like that. Okay, I get it. It's kitschy, but then the luster wears off, and then I'm probably not going to pick this game up again. At that point, pump the brakes, son. Turn it off and go do something else. Scrap it and turn it around or do whatever. But just
Well,
don't
I mean,
release it.
the problem with that is that by the time it even gets to a focus group stage, they've already put a gazillion dollars into it. So they have to probably make it work, regardless of what the focus groups say. But also, everything that I heard about Multiverses was that it wasn't bad, especially when it was in its pre-release state. Is when they took it off to quote unquote finish it, and then re-released it in its finished state. That it was full of all the live service. Microtransaction bullshit, which is
Yeah.
probably what happened. Is the focus groups got in there and they said, hey, we love it, and the exec said, great, now put price tags on everything because
Right.
they love it, so they're definitely going to buy it.
You make a great point there. It's when the executives get a hold of it then and they start manipulating it to like, how can we keep money coming out of John Q taxpayers' wallet constantly for this game? Well, there you go. You just screwed yourself.
Right.
You
And
could put advertisements on 8% of their view field before they have.
right there you
Right.
go.
Puzzle Better says, my favorite comics and adaptations are when the characters don't take themselves too seriously. Would have liked to see more of that. And Webhead says, well, thank goodness for Cowboy Bebop in Fortnite, which I was posting about earlier today in the Discord. And I swear to God.
Is Cowboy Bebop really in Fortnite?
Yep.
Is there
They're
anything
doing
that
Cowboy Bebop skins now in Fortnite.
is there anything they won't
Yeah.
put in Fortnite?
Nope, not a single thing.
And that's one of the problems with Multiversus is that there's already a game out there that has all the IPs that you freaking wanted, right?
Yeah.
In Fortnite, I guess it's just, do you want to do a platform brawler versus running around and shooting people in a battle royale? I don't know. To each their own, but you know. R.I.P. Wonder Woman game. We barely knew ye.
Right. I mean, I think we kind of predicted this a little bit too.
Yeah.
So
A little bit.
I feel kind of bad. A little bit.
Eh.
A nip nip.
Just a
A
nip.
nip the bad. All right, next up, Twitch has announced plans to implement a 100-hour storage limit for all highlights and uploads for all users. The announcement has been met with immediate criticism from speedrunners in particular, who fear that they're on the verge of losing years' worth of history. Starting April 19, 2025, Twitch explains in its announcement all highlights and uploads, whether published or unpublished, will count towards a single 100-hour storage limit. Twitch says that the storage of this content is costly, noting that highlights haven't been very effective in driving discovery or engagement compared with other features on the platform. Introducing this 100-hour storage limit, which impacts less than 0.5% of active channels on Twitch and accounts for less than 0.1% of hours watched, helps us manage resources more efficiently, the company says. Of course, Twitch is owned by Amazon, which is a major player in the cloud storage area. So individual users aren't really buying the idea that the platform is hurting for storage space. The proposed auto deletion presents a particular problem for the speedrunning scene, whose history is largely documented through Twitch highlights.
One of the things I will say that's a little bit of the saving grace for speedrunners, not from the view of the experience they're having from Twitch, but they do have the possibility to transfer this all over to YouTube or another platform. So
Mm-hmm.
there is that like preservation of what we were talking about, right? When it comes to speedrunning history. Like, I mean, if you look at like Summoning Salt, um, not only is his history of his speed runs in there, but all of the different speed runs that he looks at for his videos that talk about the history of speedrunning are all found there, right? So, yeah, at least they can transfer it to YouTube. What a freaking hassle, though, especially if you're talking about, you know, like guys like Arcus and the Mexican Runner. You know, like wow, we're talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours of stuff that they will have to transfer over to another account, just because Twitch is kind of pulling the rug out from them. The other piece to it is I think this is a little bit of statistic cooking here. Um, Less than 0.5% of active channels on Twitch. What makes up an active channel with this? Does that mean that this is a person who logs in regularly to Twitch? Because if that's the case, there are quite there. I mean, there are more, I would say, viewers or watchers of Twitch than there are content creators on Twitch. So if we're running into
Mm,
that, right? So uh, it may very well be that it's a 1 to 20 ratio if you think about it. So that to me is like kind of cooking the books to show, oh well, it's only 0.5%, so that they can kind of validate their decision. But let's be honest with you, this is just dollars and cents. They don't care. This is Amazon, which it's strange because Amazon happens to be one of the biggest servers in the entire planet, uh, and you signed up for this when you started Twitch and you offered this service to them. um, so you being later on pulling it away from them is not only it's like a breach of trust, right?
mm-hmm.
But if they were really looking to do that, they would say, well, we plan to do this in a year, right? Not here's a few months and go figure it out. So
Mm-hmm.
give content creators the opportunity to really spend some of that time, because I mean, let's be honest, not everybody has the whole day to switch everything over to YouTube, try to get it done.
Right.
And especially if you're talking about Switch or Twitch streamers, every time that they're not online, that's taking away money from their pocket too. um, so it's just, this is overall, I don't see that there's no silver lining on this cloud, is what I'm trying to portray here, is that this is a betrayal of trust. This is uh, the same thing as when companies pull out a game off of the uh, somebody's Xbox or PlayStation because they don't want to support it anymore, and that's it feels like this was supposed to be a contract between us. This is how I make a living, and now you're hindering that because you want to save a few bucks.
You're still giving them the chance to make the living. They're still able to create content and everything
Sure.
like that. You're just changing the terms of the agreement on where their stuff needs to be stored. And quite frankly, in my opinion, I think the streamer needs to have thought of that well into like, okay, you don't just rely on one single platform to keep all of your stuff, right? Because whatever can happen will happen. Make that effort to go and look out to other places, maybe download it internally on your own stuff. And realistically, what it comes down to is that Amazon was giving this perk away for free for a long time. And just like any other company, they realized, oh, we're losing money on this, where we could possibly be making money. So let's still give them this ability to store their stuff up to a certain limit. They're still going to be able to have highlights and all the necessary and pertinent highlights, the funny highlights that really define them as a channel. They could still have that here on our platform. But anything else, they'll need to make plans to move this elsewhere. So in essence, in my opinion, it's what every other company is doing nowadays. They're either trying to save money, or whatever they were trying to give us for free, they're now going to charge us for it, which is, in my opinion, it's complete bullshit. You were willing to do it for free before for us, kind of like the PlayStation Network, where I didn't have to have PlayStation Plus when I went online to play with friends on video games. And now, subsequently, ever since the PS4, well, you have to have PlayStation Plus to do that. Okay, a little bit of an annoyance, but whatever. So I'm not in your shoes, Ryan, where I'm 100% just like, Amazon and Twitch, go F yourselves. I'm just like, I kind of, it's like, it's the nature of the beast. It's business, and there's really nothing that you can do. You just have to look elsewhere for storing your content.
I think the better solution would have been to charge folks, say, whatever it is, like $10 a month.
That's
No,
exactly what I was going to say. Was at the risk of turning the entire Twitch community against us. I was going to agree with Donnie in that anytime you're relying on a third party to maintain your content, I mean, that's probably not the best choice. It's the same reason why we say you shouldn't buy digital games, because, like it or not, the company can shut off the game anytime they like. They're not obligated to keep it going for you. This is the same kind of thing. But that's what I was asking myself, is because, like with my Gmail account, I pay for the extra large storage because the three of us have 3 years worth. The three of us have 3 years worth of emailing audio files back and forth. And while I back that stuff up on my own computer, I also like having a second backup in my Google storage. So I pay for the extra large storage. It's $20 or $40 a year. It's not that big a deal. So I'm not sure why Twitch is not offering that option. That seems like a no-brainer. But we have watched Twitch the last several years, really ever since the pandemic, trying to return to its pandemic level profit margins. It seems to operate like it's hemorrhaging money. Whether or not it is, I don't know, but this is not really a surprise for a company that has done everything else possible to try to reduce its costs. I was not surprised to see this coming through, though I know that, understandably, Twitch streamers are very, very upset.
You're a big fine podcast. Why don't you back those files up?
That's nice.
I was gonna sing it, but I decided against it. Let the William Shatner way.
Puzzle Better says, I export all my streams to YouTube to store them there. So as long as YouTube doesn't do this, I won't panic.
Yeah, but there's nothing that's saying Google won't, right?
Of course, and they probably will. I mean, you don't trust big companies like this. You really don't.
Yeah.
To put that kind of faith in Amazon or Google, like, oh, all this stuff on YouTube is like all this stuff I've ever created. It's basically, I get free storage anytime I want, and anybody can go there and access it anytime that they want. Whereas with Amazon Web Services, with AWS S3, that's a storage thing. You can have content on S3 and have people go and view it and stuff, but it doesn't cost any money to upload it there, but it costs money every time it's accessed. So if you want all of your people to come and view your stuff and it's on S3, you're going to get charged for that. So I think it's only a matter of time before Google does the same thing.
I don't know. I think it's a lot less likely for Google to do it with YouTube just because of the nature of what YouTube is.
Right.
It's almost like a search engine. And when you start limiting the results of a search engine, then people are going to stop using it, which is why I think YouTube is going far more into the ad side of revenue making versus trying to limit what essentially makes them money,
I see what you're
which is
saying.
the amount of content.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
yeah. Every time somebody clicks on a video, they get money off of
yeah.
Mhm.
that. So, kind of flood the zone with as
Yep.
much, right?
I mean, in the current administration, they want to limit access to as much information as possible. But just saying.
All right, next up, the Street Fighter movie has found its director. Kitao Sakurai, perhaps best known for writing, directing, and exec producing the Eric Andre show, has been tapped to direct Street Fighter, Legendary Entertainment's feature adaptation of the classic video game from Capcom. Capcom is deeply involved with the adaptation, with Legendary co-developing and co-producing alongside the video game developer and publisher. The film has a March 20th, 2026 release date from Sony. Sakurai recently reteamed with Andre for the comedy feature Bad Trip, which he co wrote and directed. He serves as an executive producer of the second season of Beef for Netflix and A24 and directed the pilot and several episodes of the upcoming Amazon Prime Video series Butterfly, starring Daniel Day Kim. He also directed several episodes of Peacock's post apocalyptic video game adaptation Twisted Metal.
This makes me super excited. I like his stuff. I really enjoyed Twisted Metal. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but I thought it was super fun and super funny. So the fact that he worked on the Andre show, I think shows, or Eric Andre show. Uh, so as far as I'm concerned, this is a point in the right direction. Um, and man, do I hope that they reference the old movie as much as possible during this entire piece, right? Like, quick, change the channel, something like that. Like, bring some of that stuff back. But I'm cautiously optimistic. This sounds like it might be something to be excited for. You know?
I'm not the least. Okay, I'm 0.1% excited that they're coming out with a new Street Fighter movie, but I need to know what the plot is, how everything fits in. Are you sticking strictly with just the regular OG fighters, or are you going to do the entire Street Fighter multiverse? What does that look like? How are the characters going to look? Is it going to be CGI heavy? All of that stuff. I don't know. Like I was, whenever there was a new Mortal Kombat movie that was announced, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, it's got to be better than the original ones, and I love the original one, but the subsequent other two, it's like, no, those are campy, and I need my Mortal Kombat movie to be really more in tune with today, and I really hope that Street Fighter does the same.
And you know what? It will always be the best Street Fighter movie while there are two Street Fighter movies.
You don't know that. I'm just saying. Odds are you're correct, but you don't know that. But I think what's working in this adaptation's favor is it seems like Sakurai is really familiar with kind of a dark comedy leaning, which I think
Right.
will suit the Street Fighter movie. I didn't care for Twisted Metal, but I thought the direction was fine. It was mostly the script that I was just kind of like, meh, whatever, I don't care.
Mhm.
What does concern me, though, is the release date of March 20th, 2026. That's
It's a year
13 months
away.
away.
Yeah.
They just found
They just found their director. You got to cast everybody. You got to shoot everything. You got to edit this shit. You got to distribute it. And you're going to do all that in 13 months? Press X for doubt. That's not happening. But if they try to rush it to meet that release date instead of setting something that's reasonable for a movie, we may end up with the second best Street Fighter movie adaptation.
Frank, you shut your mouth. The new Mortal Kombat movie is great. You watch your mouth, okay? You watch your mouth here.
I like that it didn't push too much on using every single character and trying to create a backstory for them like the original Street Fighter did. It was just like, all right, backstory, move on, backstory, move on. Where the Mortal Kombat movie, it was focused around basically one guy with Sonya Blade being the other one, and Kano being the third. And then there was some other characters that were helping out, and there was a fight scene where a few of them got killed. But for the most part.
Several
It
fight scenes.
just, yeah, it didn't try too hard to shove too much in, if you will.
Phrasing. I think it did though. I think it had its core group of maybe 6 or 8 characters, but then it kept trying to shove all these extra characters from the side in, and so they would get like 30 seconds of screen time and then they'd be done. And that was just, I think, the pressure of trying to appeal to the fandom who says, my favorite character wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And Street Fighter is going to have the exact same pressures.
Oh, I take it back. They came out with the second Street Fighter, the one with Chun-Li.
Yeah, the story of Chun-Li or something like that. The Legend of
And
Chun-Li.
that was worse. That was worse
Yeah.
than the
You're right.
original.
You're right. So that's the worst Street Fighter movie. And if this one is worse than that, then I don't even know.
It might be
I can't even comprehend it.
the so bad it's good kind of thing, right? Where people have like viewing parties, like The Room,
Maybe. Webhead says, listen here, Donnie McNipnip. The first 11 minutes of the new Mortal Kombat movie was great, and Kano was awesome. The rest was the wish.com of combat movies.
I respectfully disagree. I think that one was so much better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Mortal
Well,
Kombat
that's a very
Annihilation
low bar.
sucked.
Right.
Yeah. But that's the only other one that was there. The original Mortal Kombat will forever be a great movie to me. I think it you had all of the elements, all of the necessary elements that you needed, and there was a limited cast because of it was based on the first movie, so you really only had those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fighters, plus the Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn and all that stuff, which he really wasn't even in it. But it didn't have a lot that it had to build on, whereas this Mortal Kombat, it could if it wanted to, but I think it still stuck originally to the original players for the most part.
Are you going to change your name in the Discord to Donnie McNipnip?
Yeah, I probably will after we get done streaming. Hey, and Vance Velez with the first time chat. Good to see you, Vance.
Hey, Vance. Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, Vance. So I think what we need from the Street Fighter adaptation that will be out in 13 months is we need a pared down cast that doesn't take itself too seriously, plenty of funny moments, lots of cameos from the cast of the original Street Fighter movie, and just be cool. Just be cool.
And have Guile do the thing like this with his, do that, Guile, please.
And have occasionally a Belgian accent.
Just only occasionally.
One last question on this topic is March 20th, 2026. Is that going to be a Tuesday?
Oh.
I know it's not, but in honor of Raul Julia, this movie should release on Tuesday, March 20th, 2026.
No, of course it's a Friday, but
But for me, it was Tuesday.
yeah,
Right.
but for me,
For
in our
all of us,
hearts,
it's
it
a
was
Tuesday.
All right, and last up, there was an official Dodge Caliber video game, and it's weirder than you'd ever guess. For the 2007 model year, Dodge replaced its long-running neon nameplate with a chunky hatchback called the Caliber, signifying the exact moment the last remnant of American mainstream 1990s optimism was taken behind the woodshed and unceremoniously boondock saints. That's a verb. Ads from the time depicted the Dodge Caliber getting a tattoo, breaking into a bumper car track, and photocopying its ass cheeks. Of course, this relentless marketing barrage didn't stop at traditional mediums. Among a series of online flash games promoting various Dodge products sat something called Caliber Buzz, which lets you fly a computer-generated mosquito around a computer-generated Dodge Caliber interior. An explore mode lets you navigate the car's details, while giant arrows and text point out features like the swing out liftgate speakers and detachable flashlight. Once you're bored of aimless flight, you can try the actual game mode, which involves flying through gold hoops and collecting Dodge emblems within a time limit. Even though browsers no longer support Flash, Caliber Buzz still exists today thanks to a variety of free emulators.
was
That
just getting
was
ready to
okay.
ask if this was a Flash game, because in
Yep.
2007 it had to have been a Flash game.
hmm
Did
I'm
anybody play it?
I'm gonna say that was a weird time frame, right? When it came to like corporate trying to get into this whole video game thing, right? There's splashes of it, right, throughout
Yeah.
time, but that in particular was
Right.
one that came out with a bunch. But I'm just thinking, like, I'm glad this wasn't during the Atari age, right? Because it would have come out with a 69 or 50 49.99 game that was just that crap,
Right. Like the
right?
Chuck Wagon game.
Right. Exactly. Chase the Chuck Wagon. If it was the early 2000s, it would have been like Pepsi Man kind of thing, right, on the PlayStation. So I'm glad this one didn't come out in Japan. But uh, I'm glad that you could still play this today. I'm glad that there's emulators so somebody can go back and experience it. But I don't think anybody is really sitting there going, man, I wish I could have played that Caliber Buzz game like from when I was a kid. I doubt there's a lot of nostalgia for this, but it is like one of those things, right? It's an oddity. It's fun to have. It's going to be a novelty, or people are gonna go back and play it just for the lulls, as they say,
Right.
right?
Doogie Forever says the hell kind of game is that, and this description makes it sound like Superman 64. Go through the rings, collect the Dodge emblems. I mean, you're right in that. I think this is kind of a time capsule
hmm
of 2007 and Flash games and all the companies who were like, "Hey there, fellow kids," trying to decide what was a cool way to get people interested in buying your new annoying hatchback. But I would have loved to be in the room when they pitched this. Like, okay, get this. You're a mosquito inside the car and we're looking around. Personally, for me, I would have wanted to see, like, if you turn the mosquito around and look at the back seat, are there two people back there? Like, is there room for two people back there? Because
Right.
that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
personally what something that I would be interested in knowing about the car before purchasing it.
Was this the precursor to the whole 360-degree image inside? Like, is this what started it all, or did that ability exist before this?
Oh, that's a good question. This may be the very first version of inside the car view. You're right.
With your Flash game mosquito player character.
Right.
I'm surprised this didn't take off. Every car out there had a mosquito.
Or look, they're doing mosquitoes, we're doing frogs. Like, why the fuck would a frog be in a vehicle? Like, I don't know, man. You're out camping, you left the window down, and a frog just jumps in.
See, I Can't See says whenever I think of the 2007 Caliber, it's anything but cute campaign with the plushies, cartoon
Yep.
characters, or whatever. It does kind of seem like it was clinging to that like 90s shock, attitude marketing, but by 2007, I think that was played out.
I mean, they named it Caliber, like it was supposed to be, I don't know, associated with power and guns and.
Well,
It
yeah,
was a
the
hatchback.
Yeah, it's a freaking hatchback.
Dodge Caliber, the Dodge Magnum.
Only certain people can buy that one.
It doesn't fit in my garage. Doesn't fit in a lot of people's garages, buddy.
A lot of people's girlfriends are back there, bud.
All right, let's move on to our top 3 new releases.
All right, first one up is Ninja 5.0, PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. Relive the Game Boy Advance classic from 2003 as Ninja 5.0 entrenches you in the epic and ruthless voyage of Detective Joe Osugi. Utilize a wide variety of masterful ninja skills to uphold justice by solving treacherous crimes such as bank heists and hijackings. Next up is Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection, Switch and PC. Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection is packed with 14 classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Games from the very early days of dueling, bursting with retro RPGs and strategic card games with beloved anime characters.
Ryan is frozen?
Did we lose Ryan?
I think we lost Ryan.
The funny part is I can hear and see you.
Okay. We can
Yep.
hear you now. We couldn't
There
hear
you
you there
go.
for a second. There you go. There you go. There you go. Sort of. He's in and out.
Yep. in and out, in and out.
Well, good thing we have backups going
Yes,
just in case.
We are definitely not without our ups and downs, people on the podcast. We have technical difficulties just like every other major production out there. They seem to be happening like every week, though. Like last week,
last week and this week were bad, but normally they're fairly minor and usually before we start.
Yeah. So how's everybody doing in the chat? Hope you guys are entertained. Hope we're putting on a good show for you. And he left. He's gone.
Yep, he left.
Oh no.
Hang on, we may have to, if we have to start the stream over, we hope you'll catch us all on the flip side.
Well, we
should just pop back in.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have to start the stream over. Just something's going on.
Recording.
Yeah. Because it's still going, so we just have to wait for him to get back on.
Okay.
Now's a good time to
cut me in half.
Yeah, just because like whenever he jumps off, yeah. Let me see if I could change it over to 2 people chat. Nope, I just have. I've thought about doing that. I thought about changing everything to just two screens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Oh well. Now's a good time to promote what's going to happen to me on Monday. If you're in the chat, we are doing something for our patrons. I lost a Super Bowl bet. I was voting for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Badly.
And yeah, it was really bad. It's almost like the universe said, like, this is gonna happen. You're gonna do this. So my punishment is I have to wear these nipple pasties on our uncut this Monday, which will be on YouTube.
Closer. Put them closer. Let everybody see. They're sparkly. Yeah. They have tassels.
Yeah, and there's a collar, I guess. So I have to wear these on Monday. And if you're a patron of the Gamers Week podcast, you get to see this on YouTube. If you're not a patron, and if this is a kink that you somehow want to kind of flesh out and like see to fruition, you can go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon and become a patron, get access to our Discord, and get access to our Gamers Week Uncut that we do on YouTube every other week. So yeah, those are going to be happening on Monday. Yeah. And I would be extremely concerned, but also excited if we saw an influx of new patrons just because of this. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would be very, very surprised.
Optimism, Donnie. Optimism.
I am an optimist.
Webhead says, I forgot what Blue would have had to do if she lost. And I believe it was that I would have to do some sort of humiliating cosplay during a stream. And that was his idea. He proposed that first and then happened to not win. So that's why I decided we're going full nipple pasties with tassels.
The consequences of my actions. It's like
because
I don't stop to think. Yeah, I don't stop to think about the result of all the stuff that could happen.
Ramboski says, that's a can't miss episode. Cannot wait.
Doubt.
Doongie Forever says, sing a song.
Like what?
Put a request and Donnie will sing it for you. I will not, but Donnie will.
Blue shadows on the trail. Soft winds blowing through the trees above. Nobody wants to hear me sing.
I mean, they asked for it.
Well, Doongie, do the Mario? No, I would not do the Mario. I don't even know how to do the Mario. What else are they going to put in Fortnite?
Whatever they can.
Like, can we get like some retro adult movie stars like from the 70s and 80s in like a big Mario looking Ron Jeremy or John
I really
Holmes?
Want Ron Jeremy and his bush running around in Fortnite. He doesn't have to find a bush to hide in. He's brought his own.
He's got his own. Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Sing the DK rap. Oh God, I remember we touched on that a couple episodes ago. I didn't even realize that they had a DK rap. Oh,
yes,
God.
you did. We talked about it on the show.
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't realize they had one until we talked about it on the episode.
Tegan85 says, I once met Ron Jeremy in a bathroom. Took everything not to stare down.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
Uh,
I would have stared. I think he would probably be used to it.
yeah. Like, hey, get a
That's
good
a
look.
once in a lifetime opportunity. And
Yeah.
surely you would be like, at least a quick glance.
And he probably would have no qualms or reservations about showing it. Like, hey, you want to see it? Like, hey, here you go. Okay.
Probably it's the moneymaker.
Yeah. That's what
If
brings in the
anything, he
dough.
might be like $20.
Tegan is going to try and find the picture I got of us outside the bathroom. Me and Ron Jeremy outside the bathroom.
Hmm.
What bathroom?
Okay.
Where was this at?
So Ryan is in the chat. He's saying he can't join the room again. So I'm sorry, everyone. We're going to have to end this stream, start a new one. So please hang on just a second. We'll be right back.
Does he have a new link?
No, but he's in the Twitter.
Hang on a second. Yeah, we don't have to end. We're not ending the stream. We just have to change Zencaster rooms and all that.
Yeah, but won't we close the stream and start a new one?
No,
No?
we don't have to. The video will be like
Okay.
kind of wonky until we get back and all that stuff.
Okay. Never mind. Stay put then.
What I'm hoping is like what's going to happen with the recording once we close the Zencaster room. Is it lost?
Well, we have backups, right?
Right. We should.
So, I mean, you have one, and
Let me make
Brian
sure I
has one,
started.
and I
it.
have one.
Okay. Yeah, I started
Because
my
if you
backup.
didn't, I'm gonna scream.
A friend of mine who worked in reality TV took me to a reality TV con in Los Angeles back in like 2009. Ah, okay. I just visited Los Angeles for the first time back in December. It was kind of surreal. All right, he's got a new Zencaster room up. Let me go ahead and close this out, and I'll see you guys in just a second. Okay. Leave that. All right, give us a second.
Didn't have to cut off the stream.
Okay. And we're back.
We are back and we're going to record. And there it is, kids.
Tegan85 found his picture with Ron Jeremy. He put it in the spoiler channel of Discord. So,
Gonna hop over and check out that one right now.
this is what you get. This is what you get if you're a patron. All kinds of extra perks like rando Ron Jeremy pictures. Thanks everyone for sticking around. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but
It's all my fault.
I mean, yeah, I've had problems before on my end, so nobody's blaming you.
Let's start over with the top 3 new releases.
All right. Let me go ahead and pull this tab over. Sorry. Ooh, but that was unavoidable.
Doogie says, stop using the McDonald's internet.
Did he wash his bathroom hands after in the bathroom? Absolutely not. I refuse. All right. Here are our top 3 new releases for the week. First up is Ninja 5.0 for PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. Relive the Game Boy Advance classic from 2003 as Ninja 5.0 entrenches you in the epic and ruthless voyage of Joe Asugi. Utilize a wide variety of masterful ninja skills to uphold justice by solving treacherous crimes such as bank heists and hijackings. Next up is Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection, Switch and PC. Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection is packed with 14 classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Games from the very early days of dueling, bursting with the retro RPGs and strategic card games with beloved anime characters. And last up is Monster Hunters Wild, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC. Fulfill your duty as a hunter by tracking and defeating powerful
Duty.
monsters and forging strong new weapons and armor from the materials you harvest from your hunt as you uncover the connection between the people of the Forbidden Lands and the locales they inhabit. The ultimate hunting experience awaits you in Monster Hunter Wilds. So taking a look at these, Donnie, what are you going for this week?
Who's Hunt?
Mike's.
So starting with Monster Hunter, I've never played the Monster Hunter series. To me, it seemed like adult Pokemon, and I'm not that into Pokemon. So I could never get into Monster Hunter, so I won't be picking this one up. I'm not going to be starting with Monster Hunter Wilds.
God, there are some people out there that just literally like
Oh,
smash
they-
their phone.
They lost their shit. You're going to be hearing from them.
Come at me, bro. Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection, have no interest in it whatsoever. I've never been into Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd probably be more into Pokemon than I am into Yu-Gi-Oh! Which leaves us with Ninja 5-0.
Man, you are just killing people right now.
Ninja 5-0, I saw the gameplay on it, and it looks, I won't say it looks amazing. It looks like every normal platformer I've seen out there. It's indicative of 80s and 90s graphics, and it looks like it belongs on the Game Boy Advance or the Atari Lynx or Sega Game Gear. I am all for it, the way it looks and the way that it plays. Solving treacherous crimes such as bank heists and hijackings as a ninja? Okay.
Just go with it.
Shh, just go.
Don't think. Just do it.
I'm probably going to pick up Ninja 5-0 this week. I'm not going to be in a rush, but I probably will pick up and play Ninja 5-0.
Okay.
Very nice. Blue, what about you?
So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not my thing. Not going to say anything bad about it. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan and you can buy this collection with 14 games all in one, then I'm sure you are chomping at the bit, and it is the best week ever. So I am happy for you, but not for me. Monster Hunter Wilds, I've played a few demos of Monster Hunter games, but they really haven't captured my interest. And I think it was Sheriff Snacks who said that if you're going to get into Monster Hunter, you need to do multiplayer with somebody who already loves
Yes.
Monster Hunter. And I
Yep.
think that's probably the case, because I felt like there was just something about the demos that I was like, I'm just missing whatever this spark is that people love this series. That I'm just not seeing it. So I'm probably not going to get that one right away. But the one that I am looking at is Ninja 5-0, platformer from 2003, Game Boy Advance. So it's got pixelated graphics. It looks great. The other reason I love this is because this is one of those things that, as preservationists, we talk about all the time. It's a game that is too fucking expensive to buy a hard copy of. It's like a $200-$300 game.
Right.
Really?
So the fact that they're porting it and letting us just buy it for a reasonable price, this is exactly what we ask companies to give us. So I'm all about that. I want to support that endeavor, and I will be buying this.
Good Lord. Yeah, it's loose. It's $324. Complete in box.
Right.
It's $737.
Right. So this port, however much it is, I don't know, 30-40 bucks probably. I'm just guessing. Don't quote me on that, but
Hopefully it's less.
heck yeah. This is exactly, like I said, this is exactly what we want ask companies to do. And they're doing it. So Ninja 5-0 for me all the way.
All right.
What about you, Ryan?
So taking a look at Yu-Gi-Oh! That was one. So, when I was growing up, that anime was like maybe 1 or 2 years removed from when I was really big into anime. So I never really got into Yu-Gi-Oh! I had friends who were really into it, and it just wasn't my thing. So I've never played a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, so to have 14 games actually might feel a little overwhelming to jump into it. But I don't want to say anything bad about it. I will just say I just never got the concept. It was an anime about playing cards that was had to.
Pokemon.
It's essentially it's Pokemon, right? It's Pokemon with cards. You put them down on your little, give it a little thing on your wrist or on your forearm, and then the Yu-Gi-Oh guy always seems to have the right card at the right time. Always doesn't matter, never loses.
I think he's
But
stacking his deck.
right, has anybody looked into performance enhancing cards? That's all I want to say. Ninja 5.0. I'm curious about this one since it's being on the more expensive side. Obviously, I've never found it in a bin somewhere for $2.99. So this will be interesting. I am curious as to like the 30 people who own this game, like complete, are probably really pissed right now because now the demand for this game is probably going to go down. Um, so that investment that they had put into it, it might affect it. But then again, Earth
Tiny
Valve
violin
fans,
for them.
Sell.
right? But yeah, I'm definitely anything to kind of relive it, and the fact that it's on Switch makes it really easy to pick up.
Yeah.
Which brings me to Monster Hunter Wilds. I want to get into Monster Hunter games. With Rise, I I just I I went the wrong way because clearly I went into it playing it without a friend, without watching anything. I just like, all right, let's just go. And it was confusing at times. It was difficult to follow along with. I didn't know what I needed to do. I didn't know how to initiate hunts initially, so I was just walking around aimlessly doing like practice runs and stuff. But I I get the appeal. It's fighting against large monsters and trying to dodge and pick the right weapons, and if it's a multiplayer experience, I can imagine this being a lot more fun. So at the end of the day, considering it's on PS5, it's gonna have ray tracing. Come on,
Oh.
Ooh.
right? All the rays are gonna be traced. So this is probably what I'm more leaning towards is Monster Hunter Wilds. And maybe somebody in the Discord will,
Take pity on you.
yes, and let me suck around them while they play. Phrasing.
TK85, yeah, phrasing. TK85 says easy as hell week. Let's hunt some monsters with a giant sword. Doogie
Mhm.
Forever says I'm getting all three. Ninja 50, I don't have to spend $300 to play that game.
Mhm.
One Up John says if murdering monsters was like Pokemon, sure. Vance Velez says I didn't expect to be sharpening my weapons with a whetstone during my first visit to this podcast, but I guess that's the reality we live in. All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks Out 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week, Bill and his guests continue his ongoing Final Fantasy VII series by turning their attention to the amazing moments, both large and small, in this landmark game. From sketchy brothels to epic slap fights, they cover it all. Well, almost. So this week's question is, what's a spoiler-free video game moment that lives rent-free in your head? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Spoiler free is what makes this really difficult.
It does, because a lot of the times it's like that, oh my gosh, that twist moment in a video game, which the reason I added spoiler-free to the question was because we can't be doing that on this segment.
If you're
We're the
talking
Game
about a
Leakers
30-year-old
podcast.
if you're talking about a 30-year-old game, I think it's safe to say that if they haven't played it by now, you're shit out of luck. We can tell them the spoiler.
Okay, if you want to spoil a 30-year-old game, I won't stop you. As we've said
Yeah.
many times here, there's no rules in this segment.
So Donnie's gonna get the pitchforks for spoilers, for Yu-Gi-Oh, for Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
Kill.
it's adult Pokemon, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
If Pokemon were hunting monsters, I mean, it's the same thing. You got monsters that you're hunting in Pokemon. You're trying to catch. Only this time you're trying to kill. Same thing.
So my favorite spoiler-free moment, which I had on a T-shirt for a while, is Tella from Final Fantasy IV yelling out, "You spoony bard!" I don't know if that was a bad translation or if that was intended to be that, but what I remember reading it for the first time and going, the fuck? And then going online and finding out that was a meme was also like a huge, like, laughing. I'm like, I'm not the only one who thought this was weird. Perfect. So it's not necessarily a great moment in the game, but I think it's definitely, it's a shared moment between gamers to go, what is this? What?
Dungy Forever says baseball stars too when the players start punching each other.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
So for me, it was a moment that happened when I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I put 200 hours into that game, and my favorite part about that game was not the actual story, but it was running around and all the stories that I would find myself in while I was just exploring the game. So this one moment that I keep going back to is I was just riding from one village to the next, and I passed this little settlement. And one of the things that I had learned a long time ago is that there's all these AI NPCs that are running around, both humans and animals. And if they happen to run into each other, they'll start fighting. And the best thing to do is not interfere because you're just going to make it worse. So as I was riding past this settlement, I happened upon these people that were being attacked by a lion. And this old man was on the ground and the lion was at his face, and I stopped, and I had like the perfect clear shot with my bow to get this lion. It was perfectly lined up, and there was this voice in the back of my head that says, you know better, this is going to go all wrong, but I had to do it. So I pull the bow back, I aim, it's perfect, I let it go. At the last second, the lion moves.
Oh,
Now I
pissed.
nail the old man right in the face. So he's down for the count, and now all the villagers have forgotten about the lion completely. They're after me because I'm the murderer. And I have to get back on my horse and run for my life as they're chasing me. They're like shooting their own arrows. They're throwing fire at me, and I'm just like, this wasn't what I intended. I'm just trying to help.
Haven't you guys ever heard of Good Samaritan laws? Like, I was
Right.
Nope. So it's just stuff like that happened all throughout the 200 hours I was playing the game, and to me, those are my most fond memories of playing that game.
That's hilarious. I love that
Nice.
story.
Nice. I've got. I mean, there's countless video game moments that live rent free up in my head. In no particular order. You guys know that I love the game Night Trap. First time playing that game, it was like funny to see the female in the little nighty negligee in the bathroom getting ready, and just like, oh, well, can I pause this? Like, and all of a sudden the augers come in. You know,
Was it worth pausing?
At the time, maybe. But
Before porn was free.
I've seen
enough.
better things on the Scrambled Spice channel at my parents' house.
The Spice
But just
Channel.
like seeing the augers come out and like you saving her, like trapping them and whatnot, or if you didn't choose to save her, she gets the drill or the clamp around her neck, the drill, and she gets taken off. But also the other things that happen in the game, like closer to the end, when all the people in the house know that they're vampires and that they're augurs, and Dana Plano is running around like saying, "Oh, save this person, save this person." And there's one specific moment in this game where it's like a double thing, where it's like you get prompted to trigger the trap in the hallway, and if you do it the first time, because you see like, oh, it's in the red, I got to trigger the trap. If you do it the first time, you end up killing one of the girls. She gets caught in the trap and the game's over. The guy comes on, the scat commander comes on, and he's telling you how big of a piece of shit you are. And he takes the Sega controller and just rips it, and game over. And you're like, what the? Okay. And then you have to train yourself again to get back into that part. And it's like, okay, it's the first time. Like, oh, it's the thing's red. I should go ahead and press it. No, let it go and see what happens. And then it goes red again. You're like, oh, like maybe you weren't paying attention. You were probably looking at the cutscene and you missed the trigger again, and she dies again. So you're like, oh, geez, what the hell's going on? So it allows for a little bit of a replay ability, but it's another rent-free moment that lives in my head.
Oh man, imagine that you rented that game, right?
Yo, God.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna win. I'm so close.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Whoops.
It's only slightly better than renting Dragon's Lair.
Oh, not so good.
Not
For
so
the
good.
NES.
No, that game is straight dumpster fire with a bunch of monkeys in there shitting on it. It's horrible.
At least it's crap from the get-go, though. It doesn't have like a trap towards the end of the game.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you played it in the arcades and then you saw it for rental at Blockbuster.
Oh, right.
As soon as you
Yeah.
plugged it in, you were disappointed.
Like, how did they get these graphics on the... Oh, what the hell is this?
Oh, they didn't. Vance Velez says, night trap rent-free moments? What about using the trap that causes the auger to fly over the roof?
Yes! Yes, the first time you see that, he just launches and you hear that like something going like over. Oh, what the hell? Oh my god, this is so awesome. Yeah, that whole game. Mwah, chef's kiss. All right, fellow kids, fasten those Bugle Boy jeans, pump up your Reebok pump shoes, secure that Discman to the dash, and make sure that Chevy Cavalier has gas, because where we're going to need it. This is the Retro Rewind for February 1990. Let's take a look at the top Billboard songs for February 1990 and their artists. Starting it off with number 1, Mr. Michael Bolton. Tell me, how am I supposed to live without you?
Tell me how am I can't do it.
No, you were doing
That
it.
was such
Do
a
it.
promising start.
What's your favorite?
It looked
Michael
like it
Bolton
hurt,
song?
though.
It did.
Yeah, you must love them all.
Pretty much like them all.
Man, I'm a fan. I really am a fan. Oh God, I gotta say it. We have Paula Abdul with "Opposites Attract." Great music video.
Ooh,
and a
that-
cool song too.
Yeah, with the cartoon like wolf or whatever.
Yeah. Cat, wolf, whatever he is.
Uh,
Rod Stewart, a possum, whatever. Rod Stewart with "Downtown Train." Seduction
Okay.
with "Two to Make It Right." Now, the name of the group and the song, I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Looked it up on YouTube. Soon as the first notes, "It takes two to make a thing go." I'm like, oh my God. Yep, that's that song.
Two to make it out of sight.
Whoa, oh. A little Aerosmith with "Janie's Got a Gun." Overplayed on MTV a lot. Skid Row with "I Remember You." Tom Petty with an amazing song called "Free Fallin'," otherwise known as "Free Ballin'."
Right, I was like,
To all of
everybody
them.
turned into free balling, yeah.
Talk about overplayed, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Technotronic with "Pump Up the Jam." Lou Gramm with "Just Between You and Me." And if you don't know who Lou Gramm is, he was the lead singer of Foreigner.
And my aunt dated Lou Gramm.
No way.
Yeah, he's from Rochester.
I think you told us this once before.
Mm-hmm.
That's
His
awesome.
last name is not Graham. It's an Italian last name. But yeah,
Gramm.
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
And Jody Watley with "Everything."
My favorite part about this era is it's the Jock Jam era.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yep.
But it also had, it was a good mix. It was a good mix of rock, hair metal. Grunge was like in its infancy. It wasn't really on the scene just yet, but you had a lot of pop, R&B, and metal and hair metal. So like they lived in harmony for a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Lou Grammatico, by the way.
Lou Grammatico. Hot at the theaters
Very
this month.
Shortened it.
Driving Miss Daisy. Never seen it. Hard to Kill. Born on the
Rip-off
4th of
Die
July.
Hard?
What's that?
It said Hard to Kill was a ripoff of Die Hard?
I think it might have been.
That's where you go to the red box and they don't have Die Hard, but they have Hard to Kill.
Straight to DVD.
Ooh, Navy SEALs.
Born on the 4th of July, which I've never seen.
That's
Oh
tough.
God, it's boring.
Stella. Look Who's Talking, which I actually saw. I remember seeing that in the movie theater I don't
I did
remember
too,
who I was
actually.
with, but I saw that in the theater.
Mhm.
Tango and Cash, another great movie, another great matchup of the early 90s. Internal Affairs, Revenge, Madhouse. Like most of these I've never even heard. Like Internal
It's
Affairs,
like
never heard of.
generic name number
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Revenge, I think, was with Kevin Costner. Internal Affairs, I can't remember who was with that one.
Probably
Madhouse,
also Kevin Costner. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
one of his lesser known movies. Madhouse was with John Larroquette and Kirstie Alley, so she had 2 hit movies for this year or for this month.
Right.
And then Always with I believe Always was with Richard
Yeah, her.
Dreyfuss, John Goodman, and what's the she was Miss she was Elastigirl in The Incredibles. Raising Arizona.
Holly. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was in that movie. I think
Okay.
Richard Dreyfuss ended up dying or something like that, and he comes back as a spirit or what have you. Doesn't matter. In the news for this
Holly
month,
Hunter.
Holly
Yeah.
Hunter. There you
I
go.
got
Thanks,
halfway
TK.
there. Thank you, Tegan.
Who's Hunt? In the news this
Holly's.
month, Nelson Mandela was freed from a South African prison.
Yep.
James Buster Douglas pulls off a Little Mac and becomes the first real boxer to put down Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Elfman wins Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Composition for the Batman theme on Tim Burton's Batman, which was released a year earlier. Bette Midler
Lead singer
wins.
of Oingo Boingo before
Yes.
he got into movies. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really didn't make that connection until like much later. Like, I'd say probably within the last, like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. Like, it was like Danny Elfman. And I never looked up like the lead singer of Oingo Boingo until I like started
Why would
researching.
you?
Well, I liked Oingo Boingo. That was a great song. Dead Man's Party.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, that's the same guy. And then if you remember the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, Oingo Boingo is in a scene where they're playing like a house party, and there's Danny Elfman. I'm like, holy shit, that's him. Like, okay.
And then Blues, of course, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, that's her favorite. Bette Midler wins a Grammy for Wind Beneath My Wings, Record of the Year and Song of the Year. And that's one that I could go the rest of my life without ever hearing that song. And I don't know how long it's been
Please.
since I have heard that song.
Not long enough.
Yeah.
There seem to be a lot of like rehashes of old groups like Aerosmith, Rod Stewart, Bette Midler. Like this was like the resurgence of like, hey, you know what? Let's remind ourselves of the 70s. You know?
Hold On by Wilson Phillips was released. One of the greatest songs ever. And if you don't believe me,
actually
fight me.
It's gaslighting if you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah. If you hold on just for one more day. No, I don't think I will. I don't want to.
Right. Weird science.
Ooh. Bits and pieces and bits and pieces and. So hot at the arcades this month was Center Court by Sega, which was a tennis game, and Tournament Cyberball for the Atari. 2 games I'm probably passing up if I'm walking into the arcade. Now,
No kidding.
now, granted, it's 1990. The fighting boom hadn't taken off yet. You're still a year away from the fighting boom. So your arcade is probably filled up with a lot of the older stuff, like your Pac-Man, your Donkey Kong, and then obscure games like this. And of course, soon to be released Pit Fighter, which kind of, eases you into the fighting genre. But most of the stuff in the arcades is just like, I mean, I'll play you, but I'm not going to spend a lot of money on you.
I think that's when there was a dip too, is the late 80s when it came to arcades, because there wasn't necessarily as much hot new titles that were coming out at the time, so in the 90s, that's probably why the hot ones at the arcade were a tennis game and a no nothing game, and then that resurgence of like 91 and to fighting games and everything else. So you're right, it was maybe the patronage at arcade games probably wasn't as high as it was only a few years later.
Unless you were in Japan, where it probably was a lot different. And of course, you get some games like Afterburner that came out like I think in the early 90s. So, and that was one hell of an arcade machine. Exactly.
Yeah.
In video game news, the world premiere of The Wizard. We just talked about that earlier in the podcast. Well over 1,000 people attended the world premiere of Universal Pictures' The Wizard at the Cineplex Odeon Theaters in Universal City, California on December 2nd. Following the screening of the film, guests were invited to a gala party held in a tent outside the theater. Arcade games were set up inside the tent, and the stars of the film, Fred Savage, Beau Bridges, Christian Slater, Luke Edwards, and Jenny Lewis, mingled with the crowd. The premiere was a benefit for the McLaren Children's Center, a home for abused and neglected children. Other TV and movie stars making the scene included Lou Gossett, Ned Beatty, Jill Eikenberry, and Henry Winkler, the Fonz. Hey! The movie featured lots of arcade and video game action and was a big hit with the crowd. At the end of the party, everyone was given a wizard bag filled with souvenirs from the film, Mattel toys, and other goodies, including, yep, you guessed it, a copy of the December issue of GamePro magazine. Don't forget to check out this movie. Hooray for Hollywood. And I'd love to see if anybody still has their wizard goodie bag still intact and all the stuff that came with it.
Even just the bag itself, I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Right.
That would be a miracle to find.
Right.
True.
Holy grail stuff right there.
Absolute's first Nintendo title, A Boy and His Blob, was named by Games Magazine as one of the top electronic game titles for 1989. The game, which features an intriguing and unusual storyline concept, was designed by David Crane, a top designer of electronic games. Koei is coming your way with another epic historical role-playing adventure. Look for Genghis Khan for the NES later this year. The company is also considering a sequel to Nobunaga. Is that Nobunaga? Nobunaga. There we go. Nobunaga. As well as a historical title that will feature history more familiar to the United States market. And don't rule out the possibility of Nobunaga for the Game Boy. Koei feels that the platform can support their games. Wouldn't Nobunaga be a great way to while the time away during a long car trip or a plane flight? No, I don't think so.
Well, Oda Nobunaga is the guy who was the first great unifier of Japan. So he was the guy who took all the clans and put them under one banner. It didn't last very long, but yeah, good for him. I'm sure he wants his legacy to be a video.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's very proud of that Game Boy game.
All right, and from the readers this month, I am a college student and a power player. Whenever I find myself swamped with research papers, tests, and labs needing to be completed, I quickly call timeout and go for my NES. Playing my NES clears my mind so I can concentrate. It helps to get rid of stress, and keeps me from spending so much money at the arcade on campus. I have found the NES to be the next best thing to having an actual arcade game. My future goal is to become a game counselor, as is the goal of many Nintendo fans. I feel that I would make a good counselor because I enjoy helping people, and I share the same feelings for video games as other Nintendo players. Are you kidding me?
What college degree do you get to become or to have a career as a game counselor?
Well, you don't need a college degree from what
that's
Nintendo.
The joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm gonna get student loans so I can run off to Nintendo and be a game counselor.
So have you ever seen the movie PCU?
Yes.
There's a famous line in that says, "You can major in Game Boy if you know how to bullshit."
Yep.
This kid was majoring in Game Boy. Well, NES, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about low expectations. You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? Counselor.
Is there a name on that letter?
There is. It's Rodney Clay, and he is from Hephzibah, Georgia.
I'd love to catch up with Rodney Clay and find out how that worked out for him.
I would like to check up with him too, and I'd also like to check up with our next reader. I'm writing to inform you of a Nintendo standout here in Northern California. My oldest son, Marty. Marty recently turned 11 and is the oldest of 5 brothers. Marty received Zelda 2 and worked on it only on the weekends. That's the rule around here. He needed one more item to move on to the final stages. Well, one day his younger brother pushed the wrong button and the rest is history. Marty was reluctant to start again, but within one day had zoomed back to where he was. After one phone call to your counselors, he won the game. Then he wanted to see how fast he could win it again. 42 minutes later, he did it. The amazing thing about Marty is he enjoys teaching the other kids on the block. Our house usually has at any given time a dozen or so neighbor boys in it. They all take turns and encourage one another to reach new heights of winning their games. Marty is even patient with the little ones and tells them to keep going and good job. Everyone looks up to Marty. He helps cultivate good sportsmanship, boosts self-esteem, and has gained a lot of self-confidence and self-worth from the NES. That was from Kathy Craham from Lodi, California. But guess what, Kathy? Your son is a cheater. He used another outside resource.
Was he supposed to beat Zelda 2 by himself?
Yes, absolutely.
That game is bullshit.
No, I disagree. You're looking for outside help. You could get something in a game magazine or whatever, but you spent money. You spent money to get specific answers to go around a problem in a video game. That's
now,
cheating.
I want Kathy to be my mom, who would be okay with me spending that kind of money.
Right? Oh my god.
To call the Nintendo hotline.
I remember asking and being like told flat out, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Never.
them laughing at us.
Right.
They're like, it costs how much? Oh no.
One Up John says you would have to spend money on a magazine too. So yeah, it's
He did a wink.
Well, I think Marty's most heroic move was in not killing his little brother after he erased his game.
Absolutely. I think I would have done. I would have flipped out. I would have been like, nope. Like that's why I haven't even started Ghost of Tsushima again, because my son wrote over my save file. So I was just like, yeah, not gonna do that for a while.
Yep. Vance Velez says going to college is cheating for real life.
All right, really quickly.
Certainly pay for it.
Yeah.
Definitely. The top 10 NES games released in North America, and I want you guys to hear this because you were harping on this game last week or 2 weeks ago. So from 10 to 1, it was Blaster Master, Faxanadu, Bionic Commando, Zelda, Mega Man 2, Dragon Warrior, Ninja Gaiden, Super Mario Bros. 2, Zelda 2, and number 1, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So how can a game that's considered to be bad sitting at the top of the list for this in 1990?
Is this sales numbers? Because if it's sales numbers,
I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on it. It doesn't matter if it's complete shit; it's gonna sell. I mean,
Right.
it's the same as the Nintendo or the Superman 64 philosophy. That game sold amazing because nobody knew what it was like.
So
if you
this
were to
is
slap the TMNT logo on a toilet brush, there would be kids around the entire globe that were,
Yeah,
look at my new toilet brush, right?
yeah.
this is
So-
not by sales. This is just
Okay.
by votes. Votes in Nintendo Power.
Well, okay, I'll put this to you. When I was in college, I really, really, really thought that Keystone Light was good beer.
Touche.
I mean, yeah.
touche.
And how many people voted for it without having played it?
That's a good question.
Yeah, they'll say, I really want that game, but I don't have it, so I'm going to vote for it because
Right.
it sounds good. I mean, it's like when you go look at Metacritic reviews for movies, they aren't even out yet, and they've got 700 5-star reviews. That's just how people are.
That's a very good point.
Webhead says, I'm pretty sure there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toilet brush in the 90s.
I'm going to eBay.
Let's do this.
Ew.
Used, but like new. All right, the games released this month was
They live in
Batman
a
for the
sewer.
NES, Faces Loaded 2, the second season, Destination Earthstar, Win, Lose, or Draw, U.S. Championship V-Ball, and Super Mario Bros. 3, all for the NES. February was a very slow month for video games here in North America. You're getting a majority of the stuff on the NES. Stuff starting to trickle in for the Sega Genesis and the TurboGrafx 16s. But kids, thanks for hanging out with me this evening. I got to get back. I don't want to, though. We've got a game show host in the White House again. Can I stay here, please? This concludes our Retro Rewind for this month. If there's anything you'd like to see in the Retro Rewind segment, please let me know. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Blue Sky to let us know.
Yes, welcome back to the worst timeline.
I hate it.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you all for listening to episode 154 of Gamers Week podcast, and a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, and Pixel Pond Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamers Week podcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. And if you're a patron, don't forget to tune in on Monday
Or remember not to.
for the nip nips.
Remember not to for the nip nips. All right. We are going to go ahead and raid someone new this week. We're going to raid Fernlee Flynn, who is currently streaming some retro games. She's a friend of us from the podcast. So go ahead and hang out with her for a little bit and see what she's playing. And you guys will find us back here next week, next Wednesday, for another live episode. And if you're so inclined, if you're kinky, you can join us on Patreon and on YouTube next week for my my tassel thing. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good night, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.